Welcome back to Smartland's Get to Know podcast series. Today, I'm joined by Vladimir Nemchinov. Vladimir, thank you for joining the podcast today.
Thank you, Jack. I waited for this for a long time.
I know you have. You're a much awaited guest here.
Thank you.
Vladimir, what is it that you do for Smartland Real Estate?
Good question. I am director of maintenance. What do I do? Oversee the whole maintenance department of all the portfolio, all the buildings, whether here in Cleveland area, Columbus area, Canton, currently. They have not sent me to Miami yet. I've been volunteering since I started.
I've been volunteering too, but for now we'll stay in Cleveland.
Maybe one day.
Yes. How long have you been the director of maintenance here at Smartland?
It will be in... When did I start? October. In October is going to be 2 years. So
2 years.
A year and 8 months, something like that.
Okay. Over those 2 years, what changes have you seen in the maintenance department? I've seen a lot. I think the past guests that we've had on this podcast have seen a lot of changes too, in a really good way. So from the person that has actually implemented those changes, what do you say is the most important?
That is a good question. I've heard that before. People say, and I feel like other people can see better or see difference before me and after me better because they knew what it was before. I am kind of day to day, I'm trying to just solve one issue at a time. So what are the changes that have been done? I think we're more stable right now in our work orders flow. When tenants create work orders, then we resolve them. And we work quite behind on the resolution of those work orders. Currently, we looking for more technicians. That's where we're weak at right now in one of the two. Well, in 2 silos out of 4 silo, which is portfolio. So in 2 portfolios, we need more technicians. The 2 more stabilized in that sense and running pretty well. Working basically, knocking out work orders. What else have changed? So that's, as Vadim says, our CEO, that since he is not getting calls from tenants, that means that something is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so absolutely.
That's the main metrics.
I'd love to hear that. So was there a system in place when you got here to manage work orders? And if there was, have you changed that at all? Because based off of that one metric that you just said, the calls from tenants have gone down drastically. Mm-hmm. So what's changed work order flow wise?
Work order flow wise, yes, we use Portfolios, the same software that was used before I came. It took me some time. I never worked with it before. What changed? I hope that we clarified or a little bit, made it a little simpler, the process of work orders coming in. We have a senior technicians who then look at all the queue, then they decide what work order is going to go to what technician, assign it to them, schedule it with the tenants, and then go fix it essentially.
So where it starts at the top, and then it's dispersed to the silo?
Each silo would have a senior technician.
Senior tech, okay.
Right. So people in that silo, in that portfolio would create a work order. And then from there, senior tech kind of sees if there is emergency that needs to be addressed right away.
Prioritizes it.
Correct.
Okay.
Addressed right away, or if it can, be addressed, like right now we're doing something that's emergency and we can do the rest later or schedule that for later. That I don't know if it really changed. I think maybe the positions and responsibilities of people were maybe more defined. I don't know. That's why I feel like I'm not the right person to compare before and after, So because I feel like, did I change? I mean, these are the steps. I'm sure they were the steps before, or that was kind of close to the plan that we needed to finish work orders. So I don't know if that changed so much. Something changed apparently.
Okay, so let's, instead of thinking in a before and after sense, what can you say that you've seen improve the most from day one to 2 years later?
From day one, I can only speak for myself. I improved
Yes.
because I didn't know how it's run.
Mm-hmm.
My previous job, I had 112 units, and I did basically do by myself, come up with the processes and inventories and replenishing of those inventories. And so here it was on a bigger scale. So definitely a lot of learning for me, and more properties, more people to manage, more intricate processes, vendors to find, to manage. That's definitely was new to me. Man, dude, I don't know. It's a very hard question for me. I I know what changed in me, what I learned for sure a lot.
You tell me that.
Well,
what changed within you?
Just like I said, I was exposed into a bigger operation. A bigger company, more units, more people, more moving parts, more problems to solve. So, yeah, that's what changed for me, I guess.
Nice. So were you a manager in your last position?
Correct.
Okay. So you had some experience of overseeing a whole maintenance operation before Smartland, and you were able to bring those attributes into our company.
Correct.
As
I said, it was on a much smaller scale.
Right.
I had myself and up to two assistants.
Yeah. How many people do you oversee now?
I also oversaw housekeepers, which is a little different department.
A little bit different,
as a director of
more
maintenance.
of a property management side when it comes to our company.
Correct. Yeah. Right now it's 10 to 12, depending how many we have currently.
And then that's dispersed over all the silos.
Correct.
So break that system down for me. Do you have a certain amount of maintenance techs that are strictly silo 1 or silo 2 and they never deviate from there, or do you have maybe a couple maintenance techs that you're like, okay, today you're silo 1, today you're silo 3? How does that all work?
Yeah, all our techs are assigned to a different portfolios, silos. Let's say silo 1, we have a senior technician and 2 techs under him, and 3 of them basically do all the maintenance for silo 1. Silo 2, we have currently 1 senior tech and then 1 technician, and we just got some help, so 2 other techs. Basically, I think it's about a technician per 100 units, I want to say, or 150, something like that.
Just 1?
Correct.
Okay.
So if we have silo or portfolio of 300 units, so 3 people. So that's how it breaks down. And then we have 2 kinds of portfolios. One kind is multifamilies, and then second is single-family homes. So we have that silo is overseen by a maintenance supervisor, Jerome, as you guys saw. He oversees that, and then currently there's 2 technicians, and we need 4. So we're like half power working there. So that Jerome is overseeing the technicians. He does a lot of communication with tenants, and does a lot of and some communication with investors as well. So he's like that bridge in between.
Yes.
So that's how we break it down. So people who go to single-family homes, then they have company vehicles. They just have all the tools with them all the time, and just go from building to house and address all the issues that needed to be addressed.
Nice. So when you see work orders and the consistent problems that come from multifamily buildings compared to single-family residential buildings, is there a big difference in the type of work order you guys are getting?
Is there a difference? I think so. I think there is difference. Generally, apartments are smaller, housings, and there's a bunch of them together. So we could have, because there's one centralized place for trash, for example, like trash dumpsters. So that's a little bit different than single-family homes, regular trash cans. People just take them out. We don't even deal with that. Of course, the multifamilies as well. The waste companies they pick those up, but that would be a difference. Regardless, the actual problems with the units inside, the plumbing, for example, for multifamilies, drastically more complex.
Okay.
When a single-family home, if you have a leak somewhere, no problem. Tenants are there. You tell them, okay, I have a leak. I need to shut off the water. You shut off one valve. and you're good. You can repair whatever needs to be done. With a multifamily, it's much more complex. You have hundreds of people that needs to be notified. With shutting off the water, even if it's emergency. So it's more intricate than that. So there's obviously units above units. So plumbing in that sense also more complex.
Go vertical also with the type of units you have to deal with.
Correct. Yeah. So the flood could be causing, could be on the 8th floor and then flooding the 3rd floor, and then you have to trace it all the way to the 8th floor, or to the roof.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a difference as well. Yes, sir.
So take me through your hiring process. If somebody wanted to be on the maintenance team here at Smartland, how do they get started? Cool.
Good question. That's something we need for sure right now. We have a job fair coming up on Friday. This unit is probably this video is probably not going to be edited by then, but we have a job fair currently looking for good technicians. Our hiring process is ever evolving, and we try to learn and improve. Currently, we have pre-screening interview, which is like 5-10 minutes at the most. There's 6-7, I think, questions. Basically, simple questions that we're trying to see and sort out of all the big number of people that apply, for example, to see who would fit our requirements and who would we fit as a company. We want long-term committed people who know their skills, so we can just send them, hey, it's a plumbing issue, no problem, we can fix it. It's carpentry, something needs to be fixed, no problem. Drywall, mud, paint, touch up, that's the kind of people we're looking for. Yeah, so that's the first step, pre-screening. Then second interview is in person, when 2 people get together and interview the person. From there, we decide it's more basic questions, not really specific into what position they're hired for. That's a little more in depth than the preliminary first interview. And then the third round is when usually Jerome and somebody else out of the office would be on the second interview. And the third interview would be myself and our HR director, Valerie, that you've seen as well. We would sit down and we then take a look at the person and see what their skills are, how they match with our company. And from there, we figure out if we're going to make an offer or not.
Now, when it comes to skill base of a maintenance tech, are you looking for somebody with a jack of all trades who's very talented in multiple avenues to fix things, or do you look for something very specific? Something like HVAC or elevator or the whole 9 yards.
The ideal candidate would be one of the trades like HVAC, like you said, and can do the rest. Because we're not doing big renovations. We have a construction crew, of course, construction department who do big projects. So we usually repair stuff. And we do not have enough problems to have a designated HVAC person, with all our hundreds of units that we have, which is good. But then that would be ideal. Somebody who is very handy, in our day and age with technology, all stuff on YouTube, and we just need people who have some skills, who have experience, they know, they can tell screwdriver from pliers, and but also can go on YouTube. Like there's no way you can know all the models or appliances,
Right.
But YouTube has it all, so you can just look it up, Google YouTube, and yeah, we want somebody who is thinking outside the box. Which, man, that's one of the things I learned a lot here in this company. But who can think outside the box, who can use the tools like ChatGPT these days, YouTube, Google to find the answers, so because if technician cannot find the answer, they would go to Jerome, and then to myself ultimately, or to Vadim, and Vadim taught me a good lesson, like I don't have anybody to go to, I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
So therefore we all in that chain can't figure it out somehow, we just need to have tools. So that's kind of people we look for, that have skill, that have experience. It's good if they have some kind of special knowledge like HVAC or plumbing. That's helpful, but then it's such a there's a big amount of different kinds of types of repairs that we do. So we just need a person who can be jack of all trades.
So what led you down this career path?
Good question. A few years ago, about 4 years ago, I worked as administrative assistant in the office, shuffling paper is what I call it. I had my own properties, had several rentals at that time, and I was thinking, like, after I got into that department, I organized. I like to organize. It's just very easy for me to see what kind of what's the word? Things that are not efficient, inefficiencies. That's the word I was looking for. And when I see them, I was like, man, if you just bypass this step, man, it's so much easier and better. And so I was like thinking, I'm here at the office. I already organized everything I could. I moved the furniture around to be more efficient, where I go to the printer and get the paper and how I shuffle it,
Yeah.
And at that point, it was already, there's not challenging, it's the same all day office job. And I was thinking, what would I want to do? And I have properties myself. I've done all the work myself, learned from YouTube. I've never done it before. And so I was looking for something position of that sort, and that's how I was able to land the previous director of maintenance position.
Fantastic. Tell me about your own portfolio.
My own portfolio. Ooh, I have seven properties right now. Out of them, 2 are duplexes, so 9 doors, including the one we live in. I started with a duplex that I bought for $40,000, and I was scared of mortgage. I was like, oh my goodness. Now I owe people money. Now I owe way more than $40,000.
You have a lot of debt now.
But I do not have any personal debt, and I'm all very big on finances, and I would like to pay that off, despite of what some people might think. But
you'd rather work with you having full equity in the property and having no leverage or no debt payment to worry about.
Correct. And it's not that I worry about it per se, but there is that risk that most people don't take into account. I understand the leverage. Leverage really got me where I am with my properties.
And it'll maximize your return dollar-wise.
Correct.
But you're looking at it more of on a risk side of you're managing your own portfolio, and, if something were to happen, you would be able to fix that problem without having to additionally worry about a mortgage.
Yes, and everything you described is more based on worry and fear, and I'm not really doing it out of that. I guess I'm doing it out of freedom, maybe. I don't know if you can call it that. It's not the negative thought is not driving me. I figured out, okay, it's going to take me 10 years to pay off all my properties. At that time, every 2 years, I can buy a property, with the cash flow. So I was like, by then I will be a little older, and that portfolio already will worth a lot of money. Even in that size. So,
what year did you buy your first one?
Let's see. We got married in 2014. 2015, we bought our first duplex.
Nice.
We lived downstairs first for like half a year. I renovated upstairs. Overkill for sure. Put $10,000 into area that's not. Put heated floors in the bathroom. Tiled the bathroom surround for my wife, and then so we lived there for like 5 years. And the tenants that moved in on the first floor still live there. 7 years later, something like that. So that was my very first portfolio. That's how it started.
Nice. So with the units you've accumulated, would you find that most of your tenants are long-term renters?
The very first 2 originals still with me for the 2 properties that I had. From there, I don't look at it that way anymore. It's now more of a business. Before, like, hoping to find somebody to stay along. Now it's more of a business. Now I'm learning from a bigger business that does the same thing. So hey, if they move in after a year, I'm okay. They give me notice. I already posted it. Advertise it and start looking for other tenants, basically. I'm learning more about numbers, although I like numbers. I am not like you probably, and don't sit down and calculate everything up front. My third house I was sitting on for 4 years. It was like full remodel, and I was fixing it at the speed of money. And then I fixed it, and I was like, man, I should not wait again that long. But now I'm better place as well. So
Yeah. Now, has your approach financially to buying properties changed from your first unit to your seventh?
Let's see. The first unit was mortgage. The couple following houses have bought with cash. I have bought another one with cash through a wholesaler. The last couple, well, the last one I just bought with cash, but the two last ones were with mortgage, and we were able to move out of Cleveland. And that's when I started like, oh, maybe I'll try a mortgage. And we lived in Cleveland for 5 years. That's our first property. And then we moved out to Berea, also got a duplex there, man. That's the most expensive property I own, but it's the most cash flowing now too.
Nice.
So it definitely pays to put more money into it. So that's amazing. Yeah.
And you just learned from YouTube? Or did you go to seminars? Did you study in university? What?
Bigger Pockets?
Yeah.
So I was listening to it religiously for some time. I learned a lot of stuff there. I also learned that like all those, everything is basically can be changed. Everything could be negotiated, and that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned. But yeah, YouTube. Other than that, now it's more mechanical and YouTube. That's where I learned that, but more of a structuring deals and, for example, escalation clause, right? Is that what it's called? I learned that from there, and I successfully used it a couple of times, buying my own properties, and I would not know about it if I didn't listen to that, I guess.
Yeah.
To Bigger Pockets. Yeah.
So so for your own portfolio and your own company, are you CEO, leasing manager, property manager, and maintenance director?
Correct.
So what has surprised you most about having to wear all these hats at once?
I am not. I'm the kind of person that's doing what needs to be done. So I don't like dwell much on stuff. I have a problem, I resolve it. Whether it is finding a tenant, finding where to advertise, or fixing a plumbing issue. I don't ponder about things. I guess it just needs to be done. Okay, what I dissect it into steps to get it done. And do it.
Have you personally had to deal with problems with tenants not paying rent?
Yes,
or damages to the property? I
definitely had throughout these years. I learned a lot of lessons through my personal tenants. I hadn't have to evict anybody I put in the property yet, but like somebody said, if that's the business you're in, that's the risk of the business. You know what I mean? So, and now I had to evict a person. I inherited a person with inherited tenant. What did I buy? A property with inherited tenant. And I knew that up front. So I was like, okay, that's going to be a good lesson for me to learn. And using the sources that I came to know here at Smartland, I was able to do it, and it cost me a couple $100, and now I know the process. And we're usually afraid of something we don't know, but once you get the knowledge in, and fear goes out, it's like, it is what it is.
Absolutely.
So yeah. And that house I bought, last one, sight unseen.
Sight unseen.
Yes. We were actually vacationing in Florida last July, and the house came on the market in the area that where most of mine are, like $25,000. And I was like, man, no matter what condition it is in.
So you just saw the price, the basis of was so low.
I saw some pictures. I saw like broken walls and stuff, and I was like, man, especially now prices are so high. It's just like nothing that low. So like, let me put an offer on it, and I did, and they took it. I was like, okay. It could have gone on many wrong on many directions, I guess. I was able to get the possession of it after tenant was evicted, like 6 months later. They were not paying all this time, and then I walked into it. There was so much damage to the walls, and I was like, there's no fixing it. You just need to redo it, and might as well just demo it. So basically, demo to the studs, and and now,
So that's the problem you saw, is that you just had to demo it completely once you finally saw that your sight unseen property.
right. But you see, all those things I am very familiar with, so I'm not afraid of them. I wouldn't want it to be that way, I guess, but I mean, I knew the price. So again, like I don't regret about it. Like, okay, how do we fix it?
So you were able to act quick because you had the capital, and you knew you had immense knowledge of the submarket that you were buying in.
Correct, because I knew the area,
Mm-hmm.
so I figured, man, it's a decent deal. It's more work than I anticipated, but again, I don't have numbers. Okay, this is what I'm projecting to put into it.
Right.
I just have income from my rentals that I separate from my personal income, and then okay, I can swing the renovation now. I was looking into different vendors, just like I do here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I learned so much from Smartland. And now I have time in the evening, so I found a helper, and then we just gonna try to knock it out. Two of us, as far as we could. We'll see how it goes.
Interesting. Always learning when you're the one managing or when you're the one owning.
Yeah, I've done extensive renovations before, so it's just like our techs. If they know how to fix our plumbing, then likely they know how to run the plumbing. You know. If they know how to fix electrical, likely they know how to run electrical. So all those things that I learned, just it's a big project, but then you can piece it out to smaller tasks, and it's more palatable, doable, if you have cash, of course.
Yes.
Yep.
So you immigrated to the United States, correct?
Correct.
So would you say that you are still finding your version of, through acquiring your properties, that you can still accomplish the American dream?
Define American dream.
That's for you to define. What's your American dream?
There's no single thing that I would call American dream. But if we define it as a pursuit of happiness, a pursuit of something you want to do and achieve it, for sure. I'm very grateful to be here. I do believe it's the greatest country in the world. That's why people like myself come here, because we can now, working at the first job as a housekeeper to being a director of maintenance of company with over 1,000 units, and buying more. You know what I mean? It's amazing. I am very grateful. I believe in God, so I'm very grateful to Him how He led me through all these steps. But for sure, now even more, even to where I am at, I'm learning that there's no limit really. It's only up to you how much you want to do, what you want to do. It's definitely more achievable here than elsewhere.
And last question. What piece of advice would you go back and tell your 20-year-old self?
Oh man, what I tell my 20. That is exactly why I am into finances, and I like to help young people to invest into their retirement, for example, because $100 a month for a 20-year-old would be much more significant than I'm about to be 40 next year. So it's compounding interest is amazing. You know what I mean? And I would teach myself how to handle finances. It was a big journey here in America to get to where I'm at right now, and I don't regret things. So I can't say like, oh, I wish I knew that. I believe there's always timing, and God's timing is perfect. But I would like to know that, and that's why I'm very passionate right now and talking to young people about investing, about buying properties. Although I changed a little bit my strategy, but very much so. I think it's the earlier you do it, the more time you have to compound it on it versus that knowledge of whether investing in real estate or investing money into retirement or any other account, really. So,
Vladimir, thank you very much for joining the podcast today. We learned a lot, and we'll probably definitely be doing this again.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Make sure to like and subscribe to Smartland's YouTube channel to stay up to date for all things Smartland.